What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Lauren Thompson, and today we have some insanely huge Marvel news. This news is so big that it has the potential to change the entire trajectory of Marvel Studios, and in fact is a good indicator that Marvel Studios is indeed changing. Today's news comes as a huge surprise, but is a very good indicator that Marvel Studios is actively shaking things up. It was announced today that Executive Vice President of Marvel Studios, Victoria Alonso, has left the company. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter and also is being reported on by all of the other major trade companies as well. Because this truly is, one, shocking, but two, huge news. Victoria Alonso has been with Marvel Studios since the very first Iron Man film. But here's what is really interesting about this. We'll talk about this before we dive into the article, but Victoria Alonso's job, she was promoted to Executive Vice President of Production, and then in 2021, she was upped to the President of Physical, Post-Production, Visual Effects, and Animation at Marvel Studios. In her role, she oversaw all of Marvel's post-production, including its visual effects works, which have been really under fire recently. Plus, not to mention, actual visual effects professionals have been criticizing Marvel Studios' projects recently. And also, visual effects workers for Marvel Studios have recently spoken out and kind of complained that they were being overworked because of all of the Disney Plus projects and the new movies that were coming out, and they weren't getting paid enough and they weren't really getting any breaks. Basically, they came out and stated that they didn't really feel that they were treated right. So this news of Victoria Alonso leaving Marvel Studios begs a lot of questions, but let's first go over the article to see what exactly it says. Now, like I said, a lot of outlets are reporting this right now, but the original article is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. And they start off by saying, Victoria Alonso, the longtime and high-profile Marvel Studios executive whose time with the company dates back to the first Iron Man, has left the studio, multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. The reasons for the exit are unclear, but she parted ways with Marvel Friday, sources say. So it doesn't specifically say that she got fired, so we're not going to say that. It says she exited, she parted ways with Marvel. Now, this comes right after the lack of success in the box office that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had. It also comes after a lot of criticism about the movie, including the visual effects, which, as we read, she was in charge of. But this is an incredibly huge deal for Marvel Studios because of how important Victoria was at the studio, which means this is an incredibly huge change for Marvel Studios. She joined the studio in 2006 as Chief of Visual Effects and Post-Production and helped launch the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a co-producer on Iron Man in 2008. So she's been with Marvel Studios since the very beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since the birth of the MCU. She then served as a co-producer on Iron Man 2, Thor in 2011, and Captain America: The First Avenger. Then, like I mentioned, she became an executive producer on the Avengers film in 2012, which really did prove and showed that a Marvel Cinematic Universe, a connected universe where heroes have their own stories but then come together on the big screen, really can actually work. Now, again, it's unclear of why she left, and we don't want to speculate, and we do want to respect her because she did do a lot for Marvel Studios, and she was really outspoken and a big advocate for diversity. And she is quoted stating, "As long as I am at Marvel Studios, I will fight for representation." Now, keep in mind that Marvel Studios right now is going through some big changes before this even happened. Disney in general is making some really big changes, specifically with their streaming services and the shows that they put on those streaming services. And although we are not sure if she got fired or she left on her own, this does indeed show that Marvel Studios is committed to making some major changes. Now, according to a previous report from the Cosmic Circus, Marvel Studios knows and has picked up on the fact that a lot of fans are very, let's say, dissatisfied with Phase 4. Let's face it, fans have been pretty outspoken about this, claiming that Marvel Studios' Phase 4 was pretty much just kind of described as lukewarm. Now, according to this report, as a preventative measure to assure quality control, Marvel Studios and Disney themselves are reevaluating the future releases that they have coming out. And this was already happening, but then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out, and I didn't think the movie was that bad. I enjoyed it. However, it wasn't the best movie, and a lot of fans did complain about it. But make no mistake, Marvel hears everything. They hear the dissatisfied fans, and so moving forward, they developed a plan to develop a sort of creative oversight and establish more quality control moving forward. This could be a part of that plan, getting somebody new to oversee the visual effects and quality control and post-production. So this could be a very big sign that Marvel Studios and Disney are getting extremely serious with changing the way that they do things. Now, there have been some visual effects artists out there who have actually said that they are scared of Victoria Alonso. One even said this: the main one that everyone's quite scared of is Victoria Alonso. She is known in the industry as a kingmaker. If she likes you, you are going to get work and move up in the industry. If you have pissed her off in any way, you're going to get frozen out. So there are a lot of factors here that could come into play on why Victoria Alonso is no longer with Marvel Studios, especially like I mentioned after all of the visual effects artists have come out and complained recently. And both Marvel Studios' president Kevin Feige and Disney CEO Bob Iger have come out and stated, yes, they are indeed changing. They are trying to get better. They are trying to focus on quality over quantity. And what this really means is that they realize that they are lacking quality right now, that they have lacked quality over the past few years with Phase 4, which is great. It's great that they realize that. And it's great that they realize that they need to kind of pump the brakes and produce less content. And Kevin Feige even mentioned that he hates that word, content. But basically, they're going to produce less movies, less shows per year, and have the ones that they do release be really, really good. Basically, as we've talked about on the channel before, they're going to get back to what they did with Phase 1 through 3. And while we've been following their journey, and while executives have been speaking up, stating that they are indeed making some changes, this comes as the biggest shock so far. Whether she resigned on her own because it just wasn't working out with Marvel Studios and the projects that they were doing, or perhaps maybe there were some disagreements about what their future plans were, or if she was fired because her vision simply didn't line up with Kevin Feige's vision about what they plan to do in the future, either way, Marvel Studios is looking to get better. And this is a big change that could potentially push them further along the path. And now they have a role to fill, and make no mistake, they're going to definitely think long and hard about who should take over this new position. Nothing against Victoria Alonso, but this does seem to put Marvel Studios in a pretty good position. If they want better visual effects quality control, bringing somebody in that's new, that has fresh ideas, and that is maybe more related to visual effects in their own personal career that they've had so far is a pretty good move. So I think this news comes as an actual pretty good sign that Marvel Studios is going to be improving, and hopefully pretty soon. But of course, we acknowledge that Victoria Alonso did a lot of great things for Marvel Studios, and she was there since the birth of the MCU with Iron Man. She's done a lot of great things for Marvel Studios, and we definitely thank her for the time that she spent at Marvel Studios. And of course, if we hear anything else about why she is no longer with Marvel Studios, we'll do an update video. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. Please don't forget to like the video, and you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.